And now I got a real big problem on my hand because I was fighting for credit of something that I don't want credit for anymore. And that's the irony of the whole situation. And that's where God met me, and he taught me a couple of lessons right then and there. And he said, now, all right, now, first of all, I want you to take a look at John the Baptist. And John the Baptist makes a very important statement. When more people start to go to Jesus for ministry than we're going to John the Baptist. In the beginning, John the Baptist ministry exploded, and everybody from all of Judea went out to see him. Within just 6 months, that ended. And Jesus was now the bomb.com. And all his disciples were remarking that, oh, wow, this is kind of a problem, boss, because everybody wants to go be with Jesus. And he said, listen, this guy must grow and I must get smaller. That's how this works. The forerunning ministry, the person who's out there being a front man for Jesus, he decreases in value when they have an encounter with Christ, and Christ increases in value. And so I'm like, wow, that explains why that's happening. And he said, if that wasn't happening, you would have a problem in your ministry. So that's proof that actually things are going correctly. But now about this issue where you want credit, like in the beginning, right? You want credit for the good stuff that's happening. And I told God, yeah, that's exactly, man. I definitely, come on, man, give me my props. And he said, but on the flip side, 6 months later, when things don't go well, you don't want to take responsibility for that, do you? And I'm like, no, you're right. I really don't. I really don't want to take, no, yeah, you're right. I want one. He goes, well, you want the good, but you don't want to take responsibility for the bad. And I said, you know what? That's right. That's true. He said, well, I got news for you. You weren't responsible for the increase, and you're not responsible for the decrease. You're not responsible for the increase, and you're not responsible for the decrease. You're not responsible for the increase, and you're not responsible for the decrease. And I thought about that for just a minute, and I thought, I'm not responsible for the increase. He goes, nope. And you're not to be held accountable for the decrease. I'm like, huh. He said, all I need you to do is tell the people what I told you to say. Just tell them what I told you to say and go where I told you to go. I said, well, that's actually a pretty easy gig. He said, yeah, I know. It's actually an extremely easy gig because I tell you everything to say and where to go. And so I'm not responsible for the increase, but I'm also not responsible for the decrease. I'm just responsible and held accountable for doing what God said to do, where he said to do it. That's a pretty simple deal, man. Now you say, well, but I don't hear God. And I'm like, well, all right, now you got a problem, but don't minister to anybody until you do. Stop that. You know, you need to know that you hear God. Now, I'm not going to say that you don't minister and work with God on learning how to hear while you work. But the reality is, I hear God. I know what he says. I know what he wants me to do. I'm not crazy here. And I believe you hear God. I believe everybody hears God. I just believe they kind of run from the voice they hear because they don't want to do what he says. That's just what my own opinion. I'm not even going to teach on that, but that's what I think goes on. And I think it's fear-based. I think people are afraid to do what he says. And you start to think about all these other weird things that are going to happen. And I don't get bound up that way. And so when a stone-cold blind guy rolls up on the street, has never seen a day in his life, and he's clearly 16 or 17 years old, I don't go, oh my God, I wonder what's going to happen here. I don't even care. Do you understand? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is I do what Jesus says. That's it. All the rest of it's up to him. Now, if you've done any kind of ministry at all, you're going to understand that you're going to be looking for cues from the person you're ministering to. You know, you're going to listen. You might ask some questions like a doctor would ask a question about a patient. You're listening to God the entire time. You're asking questions. You're finding out, is God going to point you in this direction or that direction? Is there something more you could do for God to help this thing manifest? But it's not anything that you need to do. It's what can I do to help God get the job done with this child? And so, blind guy stands up next to me, a guy next to me with a stomachache. Both are the same to me. It doesn't really matter. And you saw me treat that exactly that way on the side of the street. I didn't have any skin in the game. Do I want to see the guy see? Well, Do you have compassion for someone who doesn't see? That's the only question you have to answer. Can you imagine being stone cold blind like right now, and then all of the beauty you've seen in the world you never get to see again? And then all the issue with trying to navigate life being blind. Do you have compassion for that individual? Do you have mercy for that individual? I mean, I don't know. Those are the types of things that you need to be a healing ministry. If you don't have compassion for people and you don't have mercy for people, then, man, get the hell away from healing. Don't even bother going there. I'm telling you right now, don't be a fool. You have to love people to be a healing minister. I promise you. You've got to love people to be a healing minister. And if you don't love people, stay away from this business. Don't even go near it until you figure out how to love somebody. You have to love people. You have to care for people. You have to put people before yourself. Because there is no glory for you as a healing minister. Right here. Zero. You'll get nothing. The more powerful of a healing minister you are, the less you will be noticed for your healing. Because everybody else will say, that's not possible what you're doing. We don't believe the numbers. This will never bring glory to you. It will not. It will only bring glory to Christ. And if that's a problem for you, don't get in the healing gate. Don't even go there. Don't even do it. I don't know. Ask God to give me another job. Let me do something else. I don't know what to tell you, man.